Welcome to the Buy Box Bandits podcast.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Buy Box Bandits Red Alert Emergency Podcast. Here we go. So, as of about 2 days ago, new sellers are currently not allowed to apply to Ungate Nike. However, people who are currently ungated in Nike are fine. This went into effect 2 days ago, was the first time I heard about it. And yesterday, I also know a few people who did get approved for Nike yesterday. Now, as people who have incentives aligned with you guys, all three of us sell software to Amazon sellers. If we give you guys good information, hopefully you get pretty good at Amazon. You stick around for a while. Our incentives are aligned. If we give you poor information, you won't stick around and both of us lose, right? So we just want to provide you guys clarity around what's going on in the situation, the potential outcomes of it, and what could go wrong, what could go right, basically, and just kind of address stuff that we are ultimately unsure about with this stuff. But as of 2 days ago, right, new sellers cannot apply to sell Nike products currently. However, people who are already ungated in Nike products are good to go. Now, a lot of you guys listening to this know that 2 weeks ago, randomly, Adidas products went gated for about a day, even for people who were already selling them. However, everyone was allowed to reapply. As we all know, it might take a couple submissions. So a lot of people have already gotten approved. A couple people are still waiting here and there, to get approved and such. That's completely normal. That's part of the game here. This is a slightly different situation. However, it's new enough and it's affecting, one of the biggest arbitrage brands that we want to bring you guys an episode kind of breaking it down and such. So we brought Chris on because Chris obviously has, been through the woodwork with a lot of this stuff prior and such. So basically, what are your thoughts on the situation so far?
I got a lot. So first of all, Nike's not always been a brand that Amazon sellers could sell. Nike used to be a first-party seller with Amazon. Amazon sold all their stuff. It's really just in the past 8, maybe 9 years that Amazon sellers could actually sell Nike products.
Well, even before we get into too much detail, Miles and I were selling
mainstream. Yeah.
Miles and I were selling on Amazon without Nike.
Yeah. Oh,
I remember the exact day that I learned that Nike ungating was a thing and got it. And that was like a huge game changer. But there was a good 5-6 months that we were grinding in the lab before Nike ungate even existed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not the end of the world if this is what's going to be the future. Okay. But there are a couple of reasons why I think it could happen. Number one, maybe this is happening because in the past, Nike and Amazon have worked together to try to kick off sellers who are selling counterfeits. I'm just going to say it. A lot of Chinese sellers. Okay.
Turkish as well.
Sellers selling from China are often will, the stuff that you can buy on Alibaba or whatever, they're selling it on Amazon as well. They kick those people off. It seems that Nike's never had a problem with legitimate resellers. So maybe there's a gating of new sellers so that they can clean up the catalog a little bit. I went through, I looked at 30, 40 different ASINs this morning. I was finding like Panda Dunks and a bunch of other shoes that are being called crew neck sweatshirts, several listings that were just really nasty, but doing really well on the platform. Maybe Nike wants that cleaned up. That would, and maybe that fixes it. Maybe once that all gets cleaned up, maybe it comes back. That would be a great scenario. The other great scenario is maybe this is a glitch. There are some premium beauty brands that have been acting really weird in the same time frame where you can sell used premium beauty brands, but you can't sell new, which you can't sell used beauty products. It's against the rules.
Yeah.
Super.
Now, why would a glitch happen? I'm going to take off my hat. I'm going to put on a tinfoil hat for a moment. All right. I have seen in the past where Amazon is making changes on the back end and it screws up things for sellers. It makes changes to the catalog. It gates things. It does all kinds of stuff. People think that Amazon is this well-oiled machine and it runs perfectly. It's not. Everything on the back end is just duct taped together, and they hope that nothing brings.
What happened 2 weeks ago with Adidas?
Yeah,
exactly. And we see it every single time when we talk about OA sourcing. No sales rank products that are selling really well is a glitch. that's nothing other than a data glitch that happens every single time that we have learned to
Yep.
take advantage of, to cater our sourcing to find products that people are overlooking, that don't have a sales rank, that should not actually be selling, but ultimately sell thousands and thousands of times, right? Amazon, as you said, is put together on the back end, I mean, with duct tape, right? There's so many holes and glitches that we take advantage of every single day.
Yep. I found one of those today. Like I told you, I looked at maybe 40 different ASINs. I was ungated on, 38 of them. I was gated on 2. One of them I could not get ungated on. I was hard gated. I've got an account that's, older than my kid. Okay. The other one, I was ungated immediately after watching a video. The ASIN I was ungated on was a variation of the ASIN that I could not get ungated. Makes no sense whatsoever.
Doesn't make sense.
That makes sense. So what are some other things that could happen? Well, this could stay permanently gated for new sellers, and legacy sellers get to stay ungated. There's a little bit of a silver lining to that, not for the new sellers, okay? But the silver lining is we'll probably see prices start to go back up, which out of the shoe and clothing brands on Amazon, Nike is already the highest average selling price at $121 per unit. It looks like that's according to Smart Scout. But maybe we see those prices go back up a little bit more, and there's some more profit that's available to legacy sellers.
Not to mention more value in selling accounts.
Absolutely.
Right? Long term in the macros. What was that, Miles?
I was just thinking that too about the accounts. Now, if you're listening to this, do not buy an account. There's no value in it currently. This might have made it a little bit of a thing, but as of right now, there's essentially zero value in buying an account.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's the other thing that could have happened? Is this just a foreshadowing of Nike becoming gated on Amazon again? Maybe. I really hope not. Nike's a great brand. There's a lot of good products. I know that a lot of people complain about it, but there are still profitable Nike products on the Amazon catalog. But typically, Amazon does one of two things. One, they either don't tell us and everything just gets gated immediately. Or two, they send out an email and they're like, hey, you guys have 30 days or 90 days or whatever it is to sell through your inventory, and then we're closing things down. We've seen that in the beauty category actually quite a bit this year. We've seen Kiehl's go, Clinique,
everything under Estee Lauder.
Too Faced. All of Estee Lauder.
They would have done
Bumble and Bumble.
They would have done that if they were going to do it for Nike, because they lose a ton of money in fees, man, of people doing removal orders and stuff. And obviously, if you're a newer seller, it is completely like reasonable to be like, what the heck is going on? I just learned about this. I'm not sure. That's the interesting point I didn't think of with the beauty brands, man. They would, I would assume if it was going to be a big issue, they would have warned everyone, because they lose I think Nike is doing tens of millions a month, right?
According to Smart Scout, $50.2 million per month in Nike.
So they lose over 100 million in fees in the next year if they cut it off and no one could sell it, right? Which they haven't done, but they could very reasonably do. Another bull case for why it might be a glitch is that neither Amazon nor Nike sells Nike on Amazon, which it would make sense for Adidas to do that, because both Amazon and Adidas sell Adidas on Amazon, right? So that would be a bull case as to why it wouldn't necessarily be a thing for Nike, but it realistically could be a thing for Adidas. The cool thing is Adidas, everyone's getting ungated, and again, fine. Go look at any Kiba chart. There's people back on the listings. That's a rare thing that happened. This is an isolated, different situation. However, there's lots of conversations going around about the legitimacy of it, and everything on social media.
The interesting thing is, though, I was looking at some Nike listings, and none of them really have had a drop off in offer count.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing.
Right. So there's no indication that there's any sort of auditing or IPs or further filtering as of yet of current sellers.
Yeah. Could this be Nike and Amazon getting together and just trying to make sure that new sellers in the future are vetted a little bit more? That's a possibility as well. Maybe it's not available right now, but maybe in a week or two, they're like, you know what, we're going to make you jump through a couple extra hoops to get ungated in Nike, to try to keep counterfeiters off the platform. counterfeiting is a big business. You know, it's billions of dollars a year, and Nike does not want any of it. One of the other reasons I don't think that Amazon will completely shut down Nike is if you look at Nike's playbook, they are trying to go much more direct to consumer than they are selling wholesale to companies. You know, yeah, the Kohl's of the world has Nikes, but not like top tier Nikes. You know, you're not buying the latest Zooms on Kohl's.
Jordans, yeah.
Yeah, you're buying just regular old Nike shoes. So somebody has to sell those, and they know that they're going to get sold on Amazon. That's what third party sellers are for.
And if we kind of look back into like the 4 years that Miles, you and I have been selling, obviously Chris, you have a lot longer. Amazon has had a history of overcorrecting and overreacting to a lot of things, right? If we look back to as recently as a year and a half, 2 Q4s ago with the storage limits, right? To store heading into Q4, they slashed all of the storage limits pretty much across all the sellers, which created a lot of headaches. But then this past Q4, obviously we didn't see that, right? They overreact and then start to kind of filter back and peel back a little bit and then find some sort of normalcy and reasonable nature to what they're doing.
There was a Q4 that was almost ruined because it was the year that Frozen came out. They just locked down all the Frozen branded toys, which were selling insane because there was an uptick in counterfeit Frozen toys on Amazon. And everyone had to go and get re-ungated again and jump through a couple extra hoops. So when you guys are ready, I've got some statistics to show you guys to show that this isn't the end of the world for new sellers.
Yeah, and so speaking of the whole restock limit thing, man, so that's a good point. So that was 2021 that went into effect. Now, the interesting thing is that the people who got screwed by that were booksellers with lots of different SKUs that, if we're being completely honest, should have been innovating, right? Now, if you're in your first couple of years of this, it's completely normal to be a little bit more dependent on what you know well. However, long-term, everyone knows you should be diversifying your skill set, etc. Right? So the cool thing is there's lots of other brands to do that with and such. And the cool thing is go to any Nike listing and storefront stock off it today. The first thing is, if you look at the Cupid chart, there's going to be no drop in sellers, right? Look at the competitive sellers on that listing. Instantly, right now, in the next 5 minutes, you're going to know dozens of other brands that other resellers are currently making money on, the vast majority of which you are going to be able to apply for and that you are going to be able to get approved for. Right? So just specifically in terms of like shoes and apparel, right? There's Puma, Under Armour, Adidas Originals, On Sneakers, Hoka, New Balance, Brooks, Asics, Carhartt, Jockey, Reebok. Go to any of those listings and you'll be able to find a seller who has over 100 ASINs just in that brand, who's probably making a couple $1,000 a month profit minimum off of those specifically right there. And I know, Chris, you have some more good statistics to go along with that too.
Yeah, so I pulled a bunch of data, and this is from Smart Scout. So you know it's estimated. It's not going to be 100% accurate, but the average price for Nike is $121.50. That's a good thing. All right, all of the other brands that sell shoes and clothing that are doing more than $10 million a month on Amazon, none of them have that high of an ASP. However, Nike has an average of 5.5 sellers per listing on Amazon. There's only one other brand in the top 13 that actually have more than them. Okay. Brooks has 6.9. Adidas, Skechers, Under Armour, New Balance, Asics, Crocs, Saucony, Clarks, Merrell, Vionic, and Puma all do more than 10 million a month and have on average less than 3 sellers on average for each of their listings. The other thing I found interesting is if we look at the total amount of products under 1 million in 30-day average rank, I know that's a little high, but I wanted to cast a wide net here. And with Amazon out of stock 100% over the last 90 days, Nike currently has 128,980 listings. Adidas, on the other hand, has 231,170 listings. No Amazon, and under 1 million rank over the past 30 days. Adidas also has more listings ranked under 100 than Nike does by a significant margin. There are plenty of other brands, if you're a new seller, that you could go get ungated in and make some money on.
We're just crushing limited
And-
beliefs,
Well,
crushing
and at
limited
the end of
beliefs,
the day, like,
slashing them.
let's be completely real. It absolutely sucks if new sellers can't sell Nike, right? Right. We want to make that very
Yes.
clear. We just want to provide the counter argument that there's infinite other ways to skin the cat. And that the interesting thing here is that if you're looking on social media, a lot of the people that seem very excited to kind of gloat about this being a thing, unfortunately, none of them sell this stuff, which there's a lesson there that long term, you're probably not going to sell this stuff long term. It's just an easy place to get into. You probably have the Nike out nearby, etc. Right? However, though, right? Yeah, you're saying?
I was going to say that the skills translate.
Yes.
So if you've gotten 20, 30, 50K, whatever the point you have gotten to with Nike, that skill translates to any other brand that Chris and Miles, you guys were just talking about. Whether it's the keeper product finder searches that Chris used to kind of compile those numbers, right? Whether it's the manual searching and the reverse searching that you use to get the 10 Nike products that you have in your catalog, the 15, the 20. Every single skill you've used is now cross-compatible, whether it be going into a different clothing brand or grocery or tools or automotive and any other category, right? Courtesy of our for long forgotten third podcast host, Nike did
Anonymous
13
source.
billion,
Big anonymous source.
13 billion in sales in 2023. Amazon as a whole did 575, right? So Nike only did like 4% of all sales on Amazon. That's a very small percentage.
Yeah, we don't know them, I trust Wi-Fi, but we don't have these fully cross-reference and such, and everything. But yeah, regardless, right? So that say that is true, right? The third-party market grew, I believe, 18% year over year, and you as an individual seller should be learning significantly more than 18% year over year. I'd say even, triple-digit growth potentially, ideally year over year, your first couple of years and such. Now, continuing with the statistics side of things, okay. So this is for listings below 100,000 sales rank. There are 0 Nike products in the pet supplies category that fit that criteria. There are 8 in the beauty category, which is weird. A couple headband listings. Yeah, I know, right? But there are 1,000 in sports and outdoors, 0 in toys and games, 7 in tools and home improvements, and then about 45,000 in clothing, shoes, jewelry, which that makes sense, right? Now, the downside of that is, okay, clothing, shoes, jewelry is some of the easiest arbitrage-friendly stuff. But the upside of that is all those other categories where if you look inside people's storefronts on SellerAmp, look over to the right, people carry all different types of those products. And statistically, like we just broke down, essentially none of those are Nike, right? Now, continuing with that, right? On the bright side, you ask pretty much anyone who's been in the space a couple months or even a couple years, right? What do they want to do long term? Not a single person says, I want to be doing OA from Nike.com. Not a single person, right? Every single person's like, I want to do wholesale or XYZ. Now, the cool thing is there's 0 Nike wholesale. So say that we wake up tomorrow and Nike is completely gated for everyone. That accelerates most people's long-term plans, even if it sucks in the short term, right? Because selling Nike stuff is not consistent with most people's long-term plans, just according to what I see and hear from people and such. So it could be a very good thing over the long term, even if it is a drag short term, right? Thinking from a selfish perspective about this, if now the irony is that's like the people like making a big deal about this are mostly people who are already selling. Like new sellers are kind of just confused, as they should be, right? About the stuff and everything. Like if you're a new seller, be very thankful that you're not someone with $126,000 of Nike products. Like, oh my gosh, bro, if I wake up and this thing's gated tomorrow, I got to deal with getting all this back and liquidating it elsewhere. Be very happy this happened now, right? Or you could have found out about Amazon 5 years ago and had no shot at ungating anything and just quit. So you're starting this at a cool time where sure, okay, certain things are changing, but you can start now in a way that you couldn't do when I started. You couldn't do when Garrett started. You couldn't do when Chris started. You can sell these big name brands from day one, right? And there's quite literally thousands of them out there that have, opportunity, that have other third-party sellers making money on stuff that you can go ahead and do.
So to be honest, I didn't know where you're going with the whole Nike and the tools and beauty categories and all that stuff, but it came full circle. It came first circle.
Well, yeah, and we don't want to be just here like, laughing and trying to make it seem like it's, insanely easy to do all this stuff. It's not. There's a reason we all talk about Nike so often. The Nike outlet's right over there. It's carried on so many different websites. But if there's a Nike out, there's a Calvin Klein, there's a Puma, there's a Tommy Hilfiger, there's a Reebok, there's a Jockey, there's a Saucony, there's an ASOS, there's probably a Brooks, there's probably a New Balance, right? There's an Adidas, right? There's a Converse. We got to get the data on if Converse is gated for people too. All right. I might have to deploy some new sellers on that and, figure out if that's the case too. And such, but that's the interesting thing is that might not be a thing. And now the interesting thing too, is say that's
Does
not
Nike own Converse?
Nike does. Yeah, Nike does.
Oh, I didn't know that. Got
The
it.
interesting thing is that to my knowledge, Adidas Originals did not gate everyone. About 2 weeks ago, I'm gonna do a live KPF search right here actually to see if that is completely true, even though I've looked at a couple of them here. But Adidas Originals didn't, so it could lead to it being a glitch more if Converse didn't as well. In this case, y'all know what I mean.
Chris, you got any more data for us?
Let's see.
I mean, I don't have any more data. That's all I really pulled. But, when I wrote my Twitter thread this morning, I specifically did it completely away from clothing, shoes, or anything like that because of how much more opportunity there is. Yeah. I wrote a thread this morning about garage door opener wire. It doesn't have to be the sexy thing that you sell. And I guarantee that nobody will go out and find where I found this garage door wire. I bet you it stays profitable, even though I shared it forever, because it's just this really niche website. And it sells like 300 times a month, and there's like 6 other sellers on the listing. There's just so much opportunity.
Okay, so I just looked at so I looked on Keep a Product Finder. There's 14 Adidas Originals listings with above 20 sellers. I opened up 4 of them and none of them saw the drop in sellers about 2 weeks ago. So that means the Adidas situation, which for all intents and purposes, we can all probably agree was clearly a glitch at this point, right? Did not affect the other brands owned by that brand, which if there was direct communication, the executive that made it most likely would have mentioned those other brands, right? So we'll have to check Converse obviously to gauge the effectivity of that. Once again,
I see what you're putting down. I see what
right.
you're
Well,
putting
and
down.
but once again, though, I want to make it very clear, like we absolutely could be wrong on this stuff, and that's why we want to present, all the information here, because if we give you guys bad information, you're not going to be listening to us in a year, and as you shouldn't if we give you bad information, But yeah, so no one's kicked off the listings that currently is ungated. Someone got ungated yesterday that I know. So that was after they had gated it from new sellers, which happened 2 days ago. I started getting texts about 2 days ago. Then a bunch of people are talking about it in stream yesterday. Now, the interesting thing is if you're listening to this, some of the people who are messaging me had been messaging me for a while. This is a lesson in taking action and getting on the stuff today. Because say it is the kind of thing, which is very, very rare that stuff is gated for new sellers, but experienced sellers are allowed to sell it these days. I know it was way different back in the day. You need to get on and start doing this stuff now. Because even if Amazon does not become the right thing for you, taking aggressive action and working on stuff as a human being is a very good practice. And you're going to get to your goals regardless if you start knocking things off the checklist, et cetera, and really getting to it here.
I mean, that's the big thing, right? Because there is someone out there that has been wanting to get ungated in Nike for 2 weeks and now potentially can no longer, right? So that if nothing else is taken from this, that should be a lesson learned that says, all right, well, procrastination is not getting anywhere, any place quickly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just looked something up to kind of maybe even get us closer to maybe this is just a glitch. So I know that Nike owns Converse, but it is a separate brand. But Jordan is not hard gated.
Oh,
so the Jordan brand, I'm not ungated in the Jordan brand.
Too. Yeah.
Okay. I've never sold a Jordan. I've only sold Jordans on eBay. So I am gated, but I can currently apply with an invoice and go and get ungated if I want to.
All right, same. All right, Garrett, I'm sending you the ASIN. Garrett, I'm sending you the ASIN here. Okay, I got it. All right. Okay, that's a good point. Chris, you ungated in Converse as well? Or do
Let
you
me
want to
take
try
a look.
Converse too? Yeah.
Never been
I've
a
sold a
big shoe
shitload of
seller.
Converse. Yeah.
Yeah, I can sell all Jordans.
But you can apply or you can sell. So you were already ungated?
Yeah, I was already ungated.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So I'm not, so I gotta apply, but I'm good. And then I'm gonna check a conversation here too. And I know Garrett, you probably have that done as well. Or actually know for a fact you have it done. All right, let's see. I'm gonna send you the ASIN too. Let's see. All right, let's see. And okay,
I
Converse
can
is
also request approval in Converse.
ooh, okay, boys. All right, we're looking a little bullish here, man, for the people who listen to the end of the episode here. But regardless, we could totally be wrong on this. We're not speculating either way. We're trying to keep you guys updated. So the only thing you're reading is not someone making fun of new sellers who now can't sell the brand that they were able to quit their job selling several years ago when we were answering all their questions in the DM. Yeah, but that's neither here nor there. If you guys have any questions about this stuff, you're more than welcome to hit me up. I'm happy to help in terms of like specific recommendations on this. Because we made this first episode, we will make an episode breaking down any things that come into play. With this, the Adidas situation got cleared up in like 48 hours, I would say. So ideally, we'll know in the next couple of days of what's going on with Nike. Either way, it is obviously super annoying if new sellers can't sell Nike stuff. It is incredibly annoying for the people who have a lot of money in Nike stuff if Nike becomes gated and they can't sell stuff even if you haven't selling it for a while. It is an incredibly bullish thing for people who can sell Nike stuff if new sellers can't sell it. It's probably going to go to the moon. As
I came across a storefront that had 1,400 Nike ASINs.
yeah,
That's
like
all.
be
That's all
happy
they
you're
had.
not that guy. You know,
No.
like you know what I mean? Like now the key though is that if we're taking a look at over the long term, that guy is very smart. He has lots of money. He can source whatever he wants. He's just found a good niche. Sure, if he has to go 2 steps back, you know, he or she will figure it out or whatever on that. But as always, we want to bring you guys completely up-to-date information. It is Wednesday, April 24th at 2:33 p.m. If you joined the community a month ago, this is incredibly rare that stuff like this happens in terms of
Adidas and Nike
Nike.
in the same month.
Exactly, right? You know, we've been sitting here coasting for about 4 years, just being able to print cash on this stuff, and everything. It was very rare that anyone could sell the stuff, even just a couple years ago, that was brand new. So be happy. You can go apply for quite literally everything, even if you can't apply for Nike today, right? That's a very good thing. Any last thoughts here? Cool.
I wouldn't
There's just so much
overly worry
opportunity
about
even
it.
apart from Nike, right? Maybe
Oh,
it's
of
wholesale,
course.
maybe it's
Yeah,
private
of
label.
course.
The
Yeah,
skills
yeah.
are going to translate into
Yeah,
anything.
there's literally we woke up yesterday essentially with one brand out of tens of thousands gone, and gone temporarily, and actually gone for the vast majority, gone only for the minority of people in the community that are really in the game, basically, that hadn't done that yet. So regardless, we'll keep you guys updated. Thank you guys for listening, and hit the DMs if you got any questions. See you guys in the next one. Follow Chris, Clear the Shelf. For our YouTube listeners, he's got no name on Zoom right now. We'll work on that for the next episode. Later. Thanks for listening.